Maybe you are shopping for a van. Maybe the TRAVATO is on your list. The TRAVATO comes in two flavors, a K floor plan and a G floor plan. The G floor plan, in my opinion, comes with 4 distinct living areas. What are we looking at here? This is a 2019 Winnebago TRAVATO GL, and right here is a 2022 TRAVATO GL. What's the difference? Winnebago made some pretty big differences between these two floor plans, even though they are very similar. Today, we're going to show you 5 distinct areas of these floor plans and what you should consider, pros and cons. Let's go. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in today. Really appreciate that. You might know me. My name is Scott. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Go Small, Live Large, channel all about vans. This guy may be new to you. Who are you, sir?
I'm Mike Clark, or you know me as Mesa Mike.
Mesa Mike. He's an audience friend here on Go Small, Live Large. We're doing a VANBOREE here in Arizona. He had a killer idea. Since we have these two vans, although they are GLs by Winnebago, they're vastly different in a lot of ways. So today we're going to cover some really important areas of the vans and why they are different, pros and cons for both. This is not really a comparison, as just information for you to consider as you're going through these floor plans. So today we're going to cover water, we're going to cover the great room, we're going to cover the bathroom, the bedroom, and the galley. Are we missing anything?
I don't think so.
I think we got it. It's going to be a busy video. Let's jump into it. So Mike, just thanks again for helping out with the channel here. I just really appreciate that. You've been such an audience friend for a long time, and now you're sharing it with the audience, which is great. Maybe just tell us why you're in a van to start with.
Well, like you, I was a little disgruntled with the cubicle lifestyle, 9 to 5, but I've been working remote for 8 years, even before COVID hit.
What about the TRAVATO do you like?
The G floor plan, like you, because I need a place to work, a place to sleep, a decent bathroom because I'm not the smallest guy, one that I could actually move around in a little bit, but we know B classes don't have very big bathrooms. Right. But I wanted to get my biggest bang for the buck, and the biggest thing that sold me on the TRAVATO was you bragging about the Volta system.
Volta, we love Volta.
I love Volta. I knew that I was not going to get a van without Volta, so that limited my choices really.
And what Volta means, if you're not familiar with that, it's a lithium ion system that allows you to have 30 amps of shore power anywhere you like. And you have a bigger size battery than I do. I think you have 9.6 kilowatts, so 9,600 watts of energy available. And we make our own electricity as we drive around, which is pretty magic. Let's jump inside and show us some of the stuff.
Sure. Come on in.
All right, so Mike has opened up his door. One big thing you can tell right away where Mike is standing is there is no jump seat. That was one of the claims to fame on the previous floor plan. I really like mine. What we're gonna have Mike do is kind of give some measurements inside of his great room, as I call it, with my $100,000 measuring tape. If you're not familiar with that story, comment below and ask me why this costs $108,000. Because we like to measure things here on Go Small, Live Large. So we're going to measure his great room, then we're going to jump over to my rig, and we are going to measure my great room by comparison. Mike?
All right, well.
So help us understand the table measurement here, Mike, because it's really very different than what I have. So your configuration is very different again. How's this working for you so far?
I wish I had a bigger table. While this is a lagoon table and you can move it around, I can move it from that location over there. All right, there's a track right here where you're at, down here for the passenger side. So I guess the solution for me would be probably buy a second one, because you can see I'm pretty crowded here. I got my cup of coffee on the edge. I got my notes here. So you really only have room for maybe a laptop, your mouse, and maybe one item.
So let's, how much length and width is that?
Let's take a look. I'm at 29.5 inches length, and width-wise, we're a hair under 16 inches.
So 16 by 29. So.
Yes. I'm sure yours is way bigger, especially with the leaf.
Yeah, right. And then if you wanted a second table, you could, like you say, put one here.
And we could probably scrunch them together.
So you could get kind of the same effect that I have, which is a very long table that goes almost way out to here.
Right.
On mine, we'll show you that in just a second.
Let me see. What did I say it was?
29.
So if we were right here, you'd almost make it so you could probably make them touch because these things maneuver
around. Yeah.
Not too much though. The arm's not that long, but I guess you could do that. Plus, I move the table over here sometimes if I want more galley prep space. So I can kind of lift this up, and then you got the table, and it kind of is like one big serving area if you're doing like a potluck or something.
That's cool. That's cool. Mike, the seat is very different than mine. Yours are two very distinct chairs. Mine's a bench seat. I can move around. What are your thoughts on this?
I kind of wish I had the bench seat that you have, but I like this material a lot better. It just seems like it's more comfortable as far as sitting in it, even though you have to, if you want to sit in the middle, it's kind of weird. I can still get comfortable, but it's still, you got that little gap. Whereas on your bench, I kind of like that you can move wherever you want.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to have your butt in one specific area all the time. So I don't know what the wear-in is on this since I just got this 6 months ago.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. That I'm so proud of you. So just help the audience understand. So you're how tall?
I'm about 5'11".
5'11". Weight is
195.
195. So kind of on the larger size, but not just weightlifting. You can tell by his big muscles here. So it kind of consumes a lot of that space. You really couldn't have two people next to you there.
Me and my girlfriend, we fit all right in here, but she's very small. She's like 105 pounds. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So if you have a smaller partner and you're my size, this van will be perfect.
It'll be perfect for you.
And then I got a dog, so it gets a little crowded, but you don't want more than 2 people and a dog.
Right, that's enough. And then where do you find yourself sitting most of the time? Here?
I think I'm like you, because I noticed that you like to sit here. You probably like to sit in your captain's chair too, right? And work like this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do all
three. But you move everywhere, I think. Yeah, whereas I'm limited. I can sit here, I can sit there. So it's 3 locations, whereas you got 5, right? Yeah. You can sit in your passenger or your jump seat, which I'm very jealous. I wish I had that. And I'll tell you why I went with this model at the end, but I wish I had the configuration you did.
Yeah. So let's do this. Let's jump over to my rig and just kind of measure the table and some of the seating, just to give a little bit of a comparison. So welcome to my great room. I just love, this is probably the best part of the van for me. Why? Because of this table right here. And as you saw in Mike's van, this is not the case anymore. So what makes this table really special is it's 19 inches deep, same as his, but it is 36, so 3 feet. Wait for it. It has an extension, and that makes this table over 4 feet long. It's 51 inches across, and with the jump seat here, somebody can sit there, somebody can sit in the passenger seat, another can sit in the driver's seat, and you can probably get 1 or 2 people here for sure. So I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people around this table very easily. Mike's going to struggle with that a little bit. And if I have my work set up here, I can have my iPad, my Macintosh, my iPad with my laptop, maybe lunch sitting here. So this to me is a really, really flexible space. And this is what just makes this great room so special. But this also becomes a bed. Let me show you that. So the great thing about the new 2022 TRAVATO GL is you could bring 4 people with you in 3-point seat belts. The weird thing is you can really only sleep 2, maybe even 1, depending on how big you are. The beauty of this floor plan is I can carry 4, I can sleep 4. Let me show you how I do the bed without putting the table down, which is kind of a bit of a project. So you do this by just kind of moving the cushions around. So this thing slides out like this. This seat tucks in right there like that. And now I could put a puzzle piece here. And Mike, if you'd hand me the measuring tape. He's also doubling as a cameraman today. He didn't know what he was getting into. Assuming I have the puzzle piece, which I store up here, this bed is 42 inches wide by 32 inches this way. So this is where your torso would be. And if we want to measure all the way from the floor, I'm sorry, to the wall to the end of the bed, it's 64 inches, so 65 inches. So it's about 5.5 feet this way. So what I do is I put my body here, my torso, my legs go this way, and this is how I'm able to sleep 2 people very comfortably in this space without taking down my table. I'm assuming that Winnebago's gotten some feedback about this because, again, traveling floor, but only able to sleep 2 is kind of a project. Here, I can travel floor and sleep floor, which is really, really cool. Magic space right here. So that's a little tour of my great room. Now, there's something special about Mike's setup that we want to show you here. This is where my TV is. So to kind of watch it, you have to have the bed set up and kind of watch movies this way. This will not spin around to the bedroom. Let's show you that in Mike's rig. All right, so now we've jumped over to Mike's rig again. Notice his TV placement. Mike, how does this thing work?
Basically, it's pretty solid right here because you got this little strap here that pulls a pin, the locking pin. You know, pull it out. And I can put it in the same position that you have in your model, kind of.
Yep.
And if you want to go to bed and watch TV, you just swing it around.
Look at that.
And pull it, depending on how bad your eyesight is, right, close to the bed. And the bad thing I think about this is as you know, there's no more stereo here. So everything runs through this JBL. It's like your little sound bar. And you got to link that up, which can be a challenge because there's no directions on it. Once you link that up, if you're in bed watching TV, sometimes you got to turn it up to hear it, especially if you have AC running. So that can, you want to make sure you're not, you're being courteous to other people.
That's a good point.
If you're in a campground, but usually I'm boondocking, so that can be a little loud.
So Mike, show us a little bit about your galley here. So I think that's about the same width of a countertop.
Width-wise, we're looking at almost 18 inches.
All right. And then how about the length from
with the extension out?
This is with the extension up.
And because I have this induction, you can use this also as a prep space. Let me see if I can get my finger out of the way. We're sitting at about 60 inches.
60 inches. So I think it's about the same size as mine. But there's some pretty big differences here. One, you have a permanent, what I'll call residential style sink and faucet versus the flip up thing.
Right.
And then what is this thing here?
This is an induction cooktop. With all the lithium models, they did the induction. It's one burner. I don't miss a second burner because I've only used the induction maybe 3 times since I've owned it in the last 6 months. It is handy if you have bad weather and you don't want to grill. I use my grill probably as much as you.
Right.
And doing eggs. You can't do eggs on a grill unless you have a grill pad and that gets messy. But I'll do eggs and anything that I can't do on a grill on this. It's pretty easy. The bad thing about the induction is you got to purchase induction cookware. It has to be magnetic. The good thing about it is if there's no magnetic connection here, if you touch it, you're not going to get burned.
Not going to get burned.
Right.
The other big thing that I notice in his galley, and they're very similar, I think they're great because they have these huge fridge and freezer right here, right? Yes. Just love those. Everybody has fridge and freezer envy. Is this space right here, and this is the galley window. Now, in mine, there's kind of an iconic flip-out window that is provides some ventilation, a little bit of view. And what's really cool about it is I have space on either side of my window where I can have a little bit of artwork in my case and my paper towels on the other case. What Winnebago has done here is remove the flip-out window because people were shearing off their window. I did it too. I'm not shearing it off, but bumped it pretty hard, and that just made me figure out how to keep the window open and not hit it with the door. Winnebago's solution here is to have a side-by-side window, which takes up the entire space. I'm a little more of a fan of mine. And Mike, what do you think? Have you any feedback on this?
Well, knowing me, I probably would have sheared it off.
Those big muscles in action, right?
I like the slider. I like the big window where I'm gonna miss artwork. I can basically only put artwork against this wall, and it has to be pretty thin. Like I got some artwork, but not as much as you.
Yeah.
The good thing is the window's a little bit bigger. You get a little more light. And then I don't have the gas top cook, so I can use this as space too. If you accidentally hit it, it'll go on, but it doesn't do anything. It'll just beep at you. So what I do is you can take like a placemat and put it over it, and I'll usually put my coffee maker on it, and I can use it for more space. So I kind of like all this space is all usable.
It's really huge.
So
it's really huge.
I like that part.
Okay. So tell us about the water thing, and then let's jump outside, because water is a really big difference on this rig in terms of how do you get water into the rig. So let's have him explain this quick, because mine does not have this. So Mike is going to show us is this thing right here. It's the Eco Hot Preheat Normal. Mike, tell us what this thing does and why it's pretty cool.
What this is supposed to do is give you instantaneous hot water, but I found that even with the preheat, it's going to still take you about an 8 count before you get that hot water recycling. But what you're going to do is basically when you're ready to shower, you're going to do your settings first.
So create hot water.
Right. Once you got that going, then you're going to come over here. You're going to place this in preheat horizontally, and you can hear the pump kick on.
Yep.
And what it's doing is it's recycling that water through the system so that you have hot water instantaneous while you're taking a shower or doing whatever you need to do with hot water. But you got to remember, I made this mistake. I got in the shower and I had it in preheat, and oh, there's no water pressure. Well, because it's being recycled, you have no pressure, so you have to move it back once you're ready to shower to normal. And then you'll see it kick off, get in the shower, and do your business.
So the big difference here is when I'm wanting hot water, you still have to go through the process here on your Truma. But when I'm wanting the hot water at the sink, faucet, shower head, I actually have to put all the water down the drain until it gets hot. And that's the big deal here, is that you're recycling that water versus wasting it, so it preserves the water capacity in your van, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Speaking of water, how do you get water into this van, Mike? Your way is very different than mine. Should we show the folks?
Most definitely.
Let's go.
Yeah,
okay, so we've jumped outside, and what Mike has done here, he's opened up his doors, and this is a very different approach to water. Maybe, Mike, just kind of walk us through quickly what we're looking at here, because this is really different than what I have. So what are we looking at here?
This is the new Winnebago, I guess you'd call it, water station.
Water station.
It's inside the van. The good thing about that is the tanks are in there, so supposedly they stay heated longer. The bad thing is you got to keep your doors open to do any kind of water function, whether you're filling or whatever. Basically, the good thing about this water station is, right, if you notice here, you'll see all these different colors, and then there's a map, key map here. It tells you if you want to do a certain function, how to do the configuration. For example, right now I'm in dry camping, so you just match up what's on the picture.
And dry camping means you're pulling off of onboard water.
Exactly.
All right.
And then if you wanted to do a power fill tank, then you would basically move the knobs to this configuration. And you got to turn the pump off. And then you'd hook up your hose and we'd go ahead and fill.
And at that point, you're running off city pressure, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, no, this is just for fill. If you want to do city, there's a city. If you want to leave your doors open and you just want to do city inlet fixtures, then you got to do another configuration. So the blue guy goes like that, and now you're on city pressure.
Okay. But to have city pressure, you have to have your doors open, which is kind of silly.
It is silly. I noticed that some of the groups, there's people doing modifications where they put a hole here and then they run a connection underneath.
Yeah.
But who wants to drill in their RV? Because holes give you an opportunity for leaks or critters.
Or critters coming in, right?
Right.
Okay. So maybe we have the hose right here. Maybe just give us a quick demo of what that looks like to fill your tank on board water. And I think you have a hot tip for the folks too, if you have a van like this.
Yeah, because there is going to be some spillage, because we know these hoses aren't always 100%. You have the pressure on there already. I usually put my pressure on this part right here.
Pressure regulators.
Yeah, pressure regulator. I put it on and then I put the hose on after that.
So that kind of screws on right there.
Yep.
So business as usual.
Yep, you just screw it on. You want to make sure it's tight, because otherwise you're going to have leakage. Okay.
So now again, this is set to have fill your tank.
Right, I have my configuration. You can see here, power fill tank, white down, green left, red up.
That's kind of a Rubik's Cube.
It's like a Rubik's Cube, exactly. That's what I always think of when I do this.
So now you had a hot tip because you've experienced some, whether you're putting once you've disconnected this, there's some water there. So what's your hot tip for the folks on that?
Inevitably, unless you got a really good in there tight, then you got to worry about tightening or loosening,
removing it, right?
Yeah, it gets tough. I have a little cheap way of keeping the water from going inside. I noticed that when it does collect, it usually doesn't go in there, but we know this is probably not going to be sealed all the way. So what I do is I take my little bags that I store my water stuff in, and I place it like underneath the spout, and then the water just kind of runs off. And I was going to do a mod and maybe make a little tray with a little hole and make it go outside the van.
So thanks for that tip, number one, Mike. That's pretty cool. And again, the big thing here is your doors have to be open to fill your tank. I don't know how I feel about that. So weather, privacy, bugs, and it takes a few minutes to fill your tank. So this is not an instantaneous thing, but nonetheless, it's their current approach, and we'll see where it goes, right? Let me show you how I do it. My connection's on the outside, and it takes me about 5 seconds to connect my water. Now I fill it, takes about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes depending on water pressure and how empty the tank is. I disconnect it, and then I run off the tank water all the time. I don't use city fill, and that's it. So doors can be closed, no bugs getting in, no weather. If it's really crappy weather, I can do this and then watch my gauge inside, and when it gets full, come out and disconnect it, and I'm ready to go. So I actually prefer this than the other way. I have to worry about the levers and stuff. Maybe I'll get used to that at some point, I don't know. But what do you think about this approach to water that Winnebago is doing in the new 2022? So I'd be curious about that. Comment below. Hey, if you learned anything, give it a thumb up. Sure appreciate that. And if you like van tours, if you like van content, if you like places to take your van, subscribe to the channel. Don't want to miss a single video. Let's jump back into Mike's van. We want to look at the bedroom and the bathroom. All right, so we've jumped back into Mike's rig here. Now his bed is similar, but there's a few differences. The one is being this big sheet of plywood. You have this slat system, so it weighs less, much easier to get up, so that's probably good for the seniors, right? And it also has this little step thing. Maybe you can tell us about that quick.
Yeah, this is the solution to getting in. The bed's a little high. You probably noticed on your rig as well. This is supposed to help you. This is, if you're barefoot, this is a little hard, so you may want to put some kind of padding here.
A pool noodle.
Yeah, something like that. That would be a good solution. Good tip.
Good tip.
Pool noodle for padding to step into the bed.
There you go. By the way, it lays down the same. Your window's in a different position, but
right. It's towards the front. It's my pillow's in the way.
Yeah, which is
it's a little bigger, I think, than yours. I think
maybe.
The thing I like about this window placement is you can lay in bed, open up, and look outside, and you can just be in your normal sleeping position and see the scenery outside.
Yeah, that's cool.
The stars or whatever.
The stars.
Like. Yeah, exactly.
I do. And you do have the your garage storage space still, which is super important, as we know. And Mike is who I learned about the grill cover, so big shout out to Mike on his grill cover.
Yeah.
Storage, you got plenty of storage back here, no issues? Cabinets?
I'm kind of like you with the storage. Less is more. I'm like any newbie. When I first got my rig, I didn't bring a lot, but it was still too much. Yeah. Because I didn't use everything. So storage is fine. You got the drawer down here. I usually use this for, I don't know, underwear, or if the girlfriend's with me, her hair product stuff. And then you got this storage down here. As you can see, I have my air fryer, and I got my, toilet duties. And then I have like a hammock and maybe my camel pack and some hiking gear in there. I still have that long space, but it's a little different configuration. If you saw when we were in the back above the water station is where I have my electrical cables and all that. It goes about this far, all the way to my shoulder. So it's deep. I just don't have that open space you do. It's more of a tunnel. Yeah. And I just keep like hardware stuff, like my power cables, extension cords, things like that. So behind you, Mike, is the bathroom, and I think this is one of the huge selling points for me, at least, on the G floor plan. Is you have a very functional bathroom. They made a couple of changes here: the sink, and then the ceiling height. Yes. And it's going to be hard to see in here, but they kind of narrowed this bathroom wall a little bit. Mine goes straight out, but they angled it so that you have a bit more shoulder room in the bed at the expense of some toilet room here. Maybe just kind of talk through us a little bit about that. And what we'll have you do is get in and measure from the floor to the ceiling, the ceiling height, and then you have a trick to make that, remove some of that difference. So maybe talk us through that. So they removed that pump that you guys have because their solution was to get rid of that so that the water wouldn't collect and you wouldn't have all that garbage by your drain. I got it covered right now, but the drain's right here. Yep. I see that, yeah, you said you lost, I lost a little bit of width, but we now have a full size mattress and we don't have that cutout. You can see that it's kind of squared off. They changed the mattress. It's a cooling mattress now. I noticed that these are a lot cooler and it seems like more sturdy even in the break. So giving up space in the bathroom, you get a little bit more room in your bed. I like this sink better, the square sink. It seems like it's a little bigger. I like that they finally changed these. They went with a little more residential feel on the faucet and the shower. I still don't like their shower head, so I'm going to do the same mod you did. But the thing is, I don't have to go through the whole process you did. I probably can just replace this part and then get the one that you got.
Yep, I think you're right.
The toilet is kind of it's not really what we call a primary poo position, because I'm 5'11", and to be comfortable sometimes, I mean, you got room to do your business, but it's still a little
narrow.
A little narrow, but I mean, it's not like I'm like this. But still.
And again, you're on the bigger size from...
What do you want in a Class B?
Right.
This is still, I think, the most functional bathroom. You can see I can still fit this way. I'm putting my head down a little bit. I'm 5'11", but I can shower easily like this.
Yeah.
And I can towel off. No problem.
So you can just barely stand up straight. Actually, not really. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of came up with a solution for that is by removing this, we won't have you do it, by removing the teak mat, or the bamboo mat, allows you to recover an inch, maybe?
Yeah, so when I shower, I saw a lot of the groups online, they were talking about these will get kind of nasty and they'll get black underneath unless you clean them constantly. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what, I don't have to go through all that. Plus, I want a little more height. So I take these out, lay them against here when I want to shower, and it gives me a little more height. I'm wearing shoes, so, yeah, so I can almost stand up. Almost.
So without shoes,
I can almost stand up.
You can almost stand up straight.
Right, so that's my solution for taking a shower if you're on the taller side.
So with the bath mat in, what is the ceiling height here?
Straight.
So 69?
Yeah, about 69 inches, I'd say.
5 feet 9 inches. So if you're under that, then you're not going to have a problem. But for a guy, you know, wants to stand to urinate, it's kind of an odd...
I kind of lean my head against. Because usually it's in the middle of the night. Otherwise, I do use... I use my van for everything, but if I can, I'm in a campground, then I'll try to use the toilet just to save me from having to fill.
Mike has shared some private space with us in his bathroom. Now let's do the same thing in mine to show you the difference in the height clearance in particular. I think you're going to be a little amazed if you don't know this fact already. So welcome to Lily again. Again, the bed, just to point this out really fast. So I have a big sheet of 1-inch plywood. It's pretty heavy. And if I was a senior citizen, it's actually kind of a two-man project. I can do it. It's a good weightlifting exercise, but I can see why Winnebago did the much lighter frame. I like my mattress. I don't know anything better or different, so what can I say, right? Focusing on the bathroom, I love this door. I don't use a shower curtain at all. So I'm going to leave my bath mat in. I'm in sandals, so maybe a 1/2 inch. I'm 5'10", and I have, I hope this will come in on camera. Mike, how much clearance do I have?
It looks like you got almost 2 inches.
At least, right? 3 probably even.
I can stand in there.
And that's the big difference. So with my, I'm at 72 inches. 72 inches versus 59. That's a big difference, boys and girls. And what that allows me to do is stand to urinate, stand to shower. I have all this elbow room. A little narrow this way, but it's a very functional shower. I shower in here 2 or 3 times a week. Unlike Mike, I actually use my shower with my things inside, and it gets patinaed because I use my shower. Now I've added little feet here to give better floor feel. We did a video on that, so if you haven't seen that, you want to watch for that. But I'd say overall, it's kind of outside of the difference in height. It's pretty much a wash on the bathrooms, and I think it's just, again, one of the best bathrooms in a Class B space. I don't use a shower curtain. When I'm done showering, I actually use the shower wand to clean the walls and clean the floor. And it's just a really beautiful shower experience. So with that, let's jump back into Mike's rig. He's got one last thing to talk to you about that I don't have any of this in my van. So Mike has jumped into the cockpit of his van. Again, this is a 2022 Winnebago build-out. Mike, what is your chassis?
It's a 2021 chassis.
2021 Ram ProMaster chassis. He's got some things to point out that I do not have at all in my van. Tell the folks about what makes you excited about this cab.
I do like the cab in this model better than yours because I'm going to have to turn the key on. Hold on. Oh, jeez. There we go. Okay. So first thing is our monitor is a little bit bigger. It's a touch screen. It works well with Apple as well as any Android phone. So I knew that there was a big complaint about some of the navigation systems. Well, if you're used to using Google Maps like I do, you plug in your phone and it comes up on the screen instantly, as well as my Pandora. So I can be on the road listening to Pandora and have Google Maps going. And if I say, hey, Google, take me to McDonald's, it'll do it.
That's
so it's kind of cool that you don't have to it does have the touchscreen, but you don't have to mess with it if you're driving. See?
Now we're gonna navigate.
Google, cancel. So the other thing I love about this model is, if you can see here, when you turn on the ignition, your mirror turns into a wide angle camera and you can see everything behind you. Pretty wide angle. I love that because it's always on.
So that's what's behind the van. That's what you're looking at there.
So we actually have two cameras. We have that one, and then when you move into reverse, then that guide camera comes up on the monitor.
So run that by me again. So when the van is running even in accessory mode, you're getting a rear view mirror, but from a camera angle outside the van, not just looking through the back windows, which I deal with. And then when you hit reverse, the backup camera comes on, so you can see that even more.
With the little guides, the color-coded guides.
Oh, the color-coded guides.
The cool thing is I got both cameras, so I use this camera to make sure there's no branches, or I can kind of see if there's something hanging. So I use that for my height clearance, and then of course I use this to guide me into a space that I want to go into. So I kind of like having both cameras.
That is really great. I think the other thing you mentioned is blind spot assist in the mirrors. How does that work? Right.
So you see the little triangles in the rear view mirror. You may or may not see it on the camera. Whenever a person comes by you, it'll turn yellow orange to let you know someone's there. And if you have your blinker on, it'll go beep beep to let you know don't go over there.
That's cool.
So that's kind of a cool safety feature.
Mike, thank you so much for giving us time and attention. He's just a great guy, Mason Mike, as he comes up in the chats all the time. Just
my van bro.
My van bro, and I'm his van bro, which is great. And thank you for watching. Again, comment. What did you learn differently? What was your big aha from this video today? If you like van content, subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss a single video. Mike, we'll see you on the downside.
Yep.
Or is that the upside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up and down.
See you later.